A few weeks ago, I was in Isla Vista, California. I was 32 and excited to take on a new project. I was consulting for a military training exercise. My job was to study how their activities affected local marine life. It seemed like an easy gig, but soon, things turned strange. The first night, I heard noises coming from the ocean. They were rhythmic and twisted, almost like voices. I thought it might just be military equipment. When I mentioned it at the bar, a local shrugged it off. Just base stuff, they said. But deep down, I felt something was off. Uneasy, I went back to my beach cottage and tried to sleep. The next few days felt different. I stared at the waves and saw shadows dancing beneath the surface. It sent a chill down my spine. At night, strange lights flickered from the shore, casting odd reflections on the water. I wondered if I was imagining things. I began to run in the mornings. The lifeguard stands were empty, even with people around. It felt wrong. I noticed missing person posters all over town. Fishermen just vanished. That made me uneasy. I started talking to locals more. The stories grew darker. Some say it's the military messing with the ocean, one old man whispered. They dig up the bottom of the sea, and who knows what they wake up. I wanted to laugh it off as folklore, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was really wrong. One evening, everything felt eerily calm. The ocean was still. I walked to the beach, my heart racing. It shouldn't be this quiet, I thought. The sounds from the ocean had stopped. It felt unsettling. I stood there, staring at the dark water. Then I saw a flicker of light beneath the surface, more vivid than before. My heart sank. I took a step back, feeling dread settle in my stomach. What was happening? The next morning, chaos hit the town. People whispered in hushed tones. I felt drawn to investigate further. What was causing this? Were the military drills connected? I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching me. As I stood on the shore, I heard a voice. It was soft, almost like a call. I turned around, but there was nobody there. I felt sweat bead on my forehead. I backed away from the water. That voice, it felt familiar, yet wrong. Later, I returned to the bar, trying to find answers. Nobody wanted to talk. They shot me nervous glances. I felt like a marked man. The old man from earlier sat at the corner. He looked at me, his eyes wide. It's coming, he whispered. You need to leave. I didn't know what he meant, but part of me wanted to believe him. As I stepped outside, the ocean roared. The air grew thick as a fog rolled in, swallowing the town. I felt trapped, like the world was closing in around me. Then, I heard that voice again. It called my name, low and mournful, pulling me closer to the shoreline. I couldn't resist. I knew I should run, but my feet wouldn't move. I felt like I was being drawn into the darkness. I stood at the edge of the shore, the fog thick around me. The waves lapped softly against the sand, but the rhythmic pull in my mind urged me closer. I fought against it, heart pounding in my chest. What was calling me? Suddenly, a sharp crack of thunder echoed from the sky. I looked up. Dark clouds began to roll overhead, moving faster than they should. The air heavy with impending storm also carried that voice again. Come closer. It was cold, sweet, and terrible all at once that I tore my gaze from the water, stumbling back. I needed to get away, but something kept me there. A shimmer in the ocean caught my eye. It was almost like a hand, reaching up from beneath the surface. I swore I could see fingers. My heart raced. That couldn't be real. Just then, a figure emerged from the fog. A woman, dressed in a tattered dress, stood on the sand. Her hair hung like seaweed over her face. Help them, she said, her voice like gravel. I froze. Was she real? Was this part of whatever was happening here, or just my mind playing tricks? Who? I asked, barely finding my voice. The ones who went missing, she said, stepping closer. You can save them. She pointed to the ocean, her finger trembling that I turned back to the water, a wave crashing ominously. The shadows beneath the surface shifted. Why me? I whispered, still trying to comprehend this bizarre encounter. You listen, she said. You hear them. An overwhelming dread filled me. I couldn't just stand there. I turned to run back towards the town. Suddenly, the fog thickened, swirling like a curtain blocking my path. I gasped, trying to catch my breath. The figure was gone, just a specter in my mind now that I stumbled back to the bar, desperate for answers. The locals had gathered, their faces pale with fear. They were talking in hushed tones. I tried to get the bartender's attention, but he just shook his head. You don't want to know, he muttered, pouring a drink for himself. But the military, I pressed, are their exercises really causing this? He hesitated, glancing towards the door. Just leave it be. You've seen too much already. After a moment, he leaned in. The ocean has its secrets. The more they dig, the deeper they go. You're better off forgetting what you heard. But I couldn't forget. That voice. The woman. I felt drawn to uncover the truth. My resolve hardened. I need to know, I said softly. The bartender's eyes widened. You don't understand, do you? There are things down there that should never be disturbed. At that moment, the lights flickered. An eerie silence fell over the bar. I grasped the countertop, my heart racing. Then I heard the voice again, but this time it was louder, more insistent. Help them. My skin prickled with the chill of realization. It wasn't just a call, it was a demand. I had to make a choice to dive into the mystery of the ocean or to walk away and forget what I saw. I didn't have much time. Outside, the storm was brewing, and so was the danger lurking beneath the waves. The storm hit hard that night. Rain pounded against the windows of the bar, drowning out the whispers of locals sharing their fears. I couldn't stay here. I needed to be out there, near the water. Whatever was in the ocean was calling me, pulling at something deep inside me that I couldn't ignore. That I left the bar, the wind whipping at my skin. The dark sky loomed overhead, and flashes of lightning illuminated the shoreline. In that moment, everything felt alive. I could hardly see where I was going, but the sound of the waves seemed to guide me. As I approached the edge of the water, the crashing waves felt almost welcoming. The cold mist clung to my face. I squinted, trying to pierce through the dark. Then, a flicker of movement caught my eye. There it was again, the shimmer under the surface. My pulse quickened. It was as if something was beckoning, urging me to look closer. I stepped cautiously to the water's edge. Each wave crested like a finger, reaching toward me. Hello. I yelled, my voice swallowed by the storm. Nothing responded but the relentless crashing of the ocean. Still, I felt it, the weight of unseen eyes watching me. The woman's warning echoed in my mind. You can save them. I backed away, feeling foolish for standing there alone. I turned, ready to retreat to safety, but that was when I saw it. A dark figure darted beneath the surface, cutting through the water with unnatural speed. My heart hammered in my chest. Was it a person? A shadow? I couldn't tell. Before I could rationalize what was happening, something surged from the depths. It was rapid and wild, stirring up the sand, clawing toward the surface. Panic gripped me, but curiosity had a stronger hold. I couldn't move. My feet felt rooted in place. The water began to churn violently, and then silence. It was as if the world had paused. Then I heard the voice again, more powerful this time. Help them. The clarity of it both terrified and intrigued me. I squinted hard, trying to catch a glimpse of whatever was beneath the waves. Just as suddenly as it had begun, the silence shattered, an enormous splash erupted, spraying water high into the air. I stumbled back, breathless. By the flash of lightning, I saw something rise, illuminated for just a moment, a face, pale and drowning in darkness. I couldn't tell if it was human or something altogether different. The moment hung like a pendulum, and then it was gone, swallowed by the depths once more. I turned and ran, adrenaline pushing me faster than I ever thought I could move. I didn't stop until I reached the safety of the bar, my chest heaving. I burst through the door, eyes wild. The bartender looked up, his face reflecting my own bewilderment. "What did you see?" he asked, his tone shifting from indifference to urgency. "Something, in the water," I gasped. I think people may still be down there." He paled, and for the first time, I saw fear in his eyes. "You should have never gone back out there," he murmured, glancing around the bar as if expecting the ocean itself to come crashing inside. "Why?" I barely managed to get out. "What do you know?" He opened his mouth to respond, but before he could, there was a deafening crash from outside. The storm intensified. Heavy rain lashed against the windows, and the lights flickered ominously. "Stay here," he shouted, rushing towards the door, but I didn't want to stay. I needed to know the truth. Whatever was in the ocean, whatever was pulling me closer, was not finished yet. I felt it in my bones. And I couldn't escape it. The door slammed behind me with a finality that sent a chill down my spine. I stood there for a moment, locked in place. The sounds of the storm competed with my panicked breaths. The bartender had just vanished into the fury of the night, leaving me alone again. Against my better judgment, I stepped back outside, gripping the frame of the door as if it might hold me steady. The rain drummed harder against the ground, but the chaos of the ocean called louder. I peered into the darkness, straining to see any signs of life beneath those tumultuous waves. But then I remembered the voice. "Help them." It echoed in my mind, more urgent than before. Basically, it was a plea, the type you can't ignore. My pulse raced. I couldn't turn away. I had to go back. I moved cautiously toward the water's edge, my heart pounding in sync with the thunder. Each step felt heavier, as if the ground itself was trying to pull me back. But I couldn't stop now. Whatever I had seen, I had to find out if it was real. There was a sudden shift in the air, a calmness that felt wrong, like the eye of a storm. The waves slowed, turning from fierce monsters to gentle ripples. I bent down, hands clasped on my knees, feeling the wet sand beneath my palms. That's when I saw it again, a shimmer beneath the surface, like a whispering promise that drew me in deeper. My breath caught in my throat. Was it a lure or a warning? In that moment, doubt twisted at my courage, but the pull was too strong that I waded in, cautious but determined. The water was shockingly cold against my skin, biting through my clothes. I wasn't a strong swimmer, but it didn't matter. I had to get closer. Distant memories of swimming lessons flickered through my mind, overtaken by the urgency of finding whoever or whatever was beneath the waves. As I moved further in, a sudden current surged against me, pushing me back. Panic clutched at my chest. Were they fighting back? Images of frantic figures and desperation filled my thoughts. I wasn't just here for curiosity anymore. I felt like I was part of something bigger, something that might shatter at any moment. The voice came again, low and echoing. "Help them." I couldn't tell where it was coming from or if it was real. Was it just the wind twisting my mind? But no, I felt a shift beneath my feet. I gasped as I looked down into the depths and saw the outline of something, two figures, tangled and reaching towards me. Every instinct told me to run, to turn away. But I couldn't. I had to try. With newfound strength, I dove under the waves. The cold water enveloped me, and for a moment, I surrendered to the grip of the ocean. Suddenly, I spotted them, two shimmering forms shimmering in the moonlight filtering down. I reached out, fingers extending, but before I could grasp them, the water churned violently, swirling with a dark force. Everything went dark. Where did they go? My heart raced. I kicked against the resistance, surfacing in a gasp of air, eyes wide in shock. That's when I felt it. Something was there watching me. A shape emerged from the depths, a figure, close enough to reach. I squinted against the waves lapping at my face, but my mind was racing with questions. Was I too late? What would it cost me to find the truth? And then I heard the voice again, drowning out the storm. The figure broke the surface, and I froze. My heart thudded in my chest as I realized it was not just a shadow, but a person. They were tangled and struggled against the waves. I shouted, "Hold on." My voice barely pierced the roar of the storm. I kicked closer, the cold water seeping into my bones. The figure was moving away from me, pulled by the waves, and I stumbled forward, arms outstretched. I needed to reach them. I could see now it was a woman. Long hair streamed behind her, a dark cloud swirling around her as she fought against the water. "Grab my hand." I yelled again, desperation gripping my throat. She turned her head, eyes wide with fear, and something else was at recognition. She lunged toward me, and I felt the surge of hope rise within me. But just as our fingers almost touched, the water thrashed with renewed ferocity, tossing her away. I gasped, stunned. No. My instincts took over. I dove again, reaching deeper, searching blindly with my hands for anything solid. My fingers brushed against something, slick and strange. I flinched, instinct telling me to pull away, but my thoughts were consumed with the woman. I yanked my hands back to swim upwards, gasping for air, but half-drowned thoughts wrapped around my mind. What if I couldn't save her? The voice called again, a haunting echo that seemed to drift through the water. Help them. I couldn't ignore it. I needed to find her, to save her. Harnessing all the strength I had left, I dove deeper, clawing my way through the cold, where darkness enveloped me. I could see the glow ahead. The shimmering figures again, flickering as if they were alive. The more I fought, the more they taunted me. Shapes twisted in the current, and suddenly, I felt hands grasping my legs, cold, clammy fingers wrapping around me. I screamed, but no sound escaped my lips. I kicked and thrashed, fighting against the grip. The figures were not only reaching for help, they were dragging me down, deeper into the abyss. Panic surged hot in my veins. I couldn't drown, not now. My body fought against the pull, and I spun, trying to break free. I reached for the surface, but the weight of the water pressed down, and I could feel my lungs burning. I forced my eyes open, and in the gloom, I saw her again. The woman was still there, her face now fear-stricken. Was she really here, or was it a mirage formed by my desperate mind? Just then, everything shifted. A wave crashed above, and the grip loosened. I gasped for air as I broke the surface. The storm was still raging, but the water calmed as if it had been waiting for something. My breaths came in frantic gasps as I scanned the waves, hoping to find her. And then I saw a glint of silver beneath the surface. I couldn't tell what it was, but it drew my attention. I felt it calling me again, piercing through the chaos of the storm. Help them. Fear coursed through me, fueling my resolve. I had to find out what it was. Just as I started to swim again, the air shifted. A figure emerged behind me, silhouetted against the growing storm, watching. My breath hitched. I turned sharply, heart racing. Who or what was that? The silhouette moved closer, its form twisting in the rain-soaked air. My instincts screamed at me to swim away, but a mix of curiosity and dread held me still. I could barely make out the features of this figure, but the sense of something watching me made the hairs on my arms stand on end. Who are you? I called, my voice barely audible over the churning sea. No response. Just the sound of the wind howling, drowning my words. Panic bubbled up again. Was this figure connected to the woman? Did they know where she was? I ripped my gaze away from the shadow and returned my focus to the silver glimmer beneath the water. Whatever it was, it felt more urgent than the figure. I took a deep breath and darted forward again, diving beneath the waves. The ocean roared around me, each stroke feeling like a battle. As I went deeper, the cold bit into my skin, but I pressed on. The silver object drew nearer, and I could finally make out its shape. It was a pendant, intricately crafted, shaped like a crescent moon. I reached for it, my fingers closing around its cold surface. A pulse of energy shot through me, sending a shock wave of warmth spreading from my fingertips to my arms. I let out a startled breath as the image of the woman flashed in my mind. She was smiling, but dark currents surged behind her, shadows darting in every direction. I needed to help her. That thought propelled me upwards, clutching the pendant tightly. As I broke the surface once more, my heart sank. The figure was gone. That I turned frantically, scanning the horizon as waves crashed around me. "Where did you go?" I yelled, but only the storm answered. I threw my head back, gasping for air, frustration bubbling up like the sea around me. Then I felt its cold fingers wrapping around my wrist. I jerked away, heart pounding. The water beneath me frosted over, curling like a veil, and I froze in shock, feeling the grip tighten. "Not again!" I shouted. I shoved my free hand down, kicking with everything I had. The dark water released me, but not without a chilling whisper that seemed to curl into my ears like smoke. "Help her!" I gasped again, my breath rasping in my throat. The storm had transformed. It was no longer just rain and wind. It felt alive, twisting around me with a presence that understood my fear. I clutched the pendant harder, its cool surface grounding me, and that when I saw her again. The woman. Only now, she was further out, almost transparent among the waves, as if she were being pulled between this world and another. I swam toward her desperately, but she began to fade, the space between us widening with each stroke. "Wait! Don't leave!" I shouted, but she didn't respond. Instead, the shadows swelled around her, forming into dark figures, emerging from the depths. I felt a dread pooling in my stomach, the same hands that had grabbed my legs, pulling me down. This was worse than I had imagined. I couldn't fight them all. I looked around and the water started to swirl violently once more. I had to make a choice, save the woman or escape. The figures were closing in, and I felt the urgency crashing down on me like the waves around us. I braced myself, heart racing. Time was running out. I dove under the waves, my mind racing. The woman was still there, out of reach but pleading with every fiber of her being. The shadows loomed closer, their forms shifting like smoke, coiling around her. I focused on the pendant in my hand. If it had connected me to her once, maybe it could do it again. As I swam, I thought about the rush of energy I felt when I first grasped it. I needed to harness that. I might not have much time. Gripping the pendant tighter, I concentrated, willing it to help her. A dim glow emanated from it, illuminating the dark water around me. I shot toward her, propulsion driven by a mix of fear and determination. Just as I got within arm's reach, the shadows wrapped around her, pulling her away like tendrils of shadowy smoke. In that moment, she glanced at me, eyes wide with both fear and hope. "Help!" she mouthed, the sound drowned out by the surging waves. I lunged forward, arms stretching towards her. I could almost touch her. But before I could reach her, the darkness surged. I felt an overwhelming pressure, like being pinned beneath a weight too heavy to lift. Panic clawed at my throat. I gasped, bubbles bursting around me. Suddenly, the water shifted beneath me, creating a whirlpool that started dragging everything, myself, the pendant, and shadows down into the depths. I kicked against it, fighting for any stability. But it was like trying to swim up a waterfall. Then, just as I thought I would be pulled under, I felt a sudden release. The water calmed briefly, and I broke the surface, taking a lungful of air. The storm had raged on, but now the air crackled with tension. A silence fell over the sea, as if it were holding its breath that I glanced around. The woman had vanished. Frustration and despair crashed over me like the waves I had just battled. I couldn't just abandon her. I had to know what that pendant meant. My heart pounded, partly from exertion, partly from fear of what I had seen. Was there really something supernatural at play? I thought of the cold fingers that had gripped me. Help her, that chilling whisper replayed in my mind. Then, I heard a noise behind me, an echoing laugh that twisted and churned, rising from the depths. It was taunting me, mocking my efforts. Fear clutched at my chest, and I spun around. There, not too far off, I saw the figure again. It was submerged, but its presence felt clear, darker amidst the gray sea. It watched me, eyes shimmering with malice. I could feel its intent. This was far more than a mere warning. It was a challenge that I could either dive back into the chaos or confront the source of this terror. My pulse raced as I made my decision. What is it going to take to find her? I muttered. That's when I noticed something glittering just below the surface near the figure. A piece of jewelry. A reflection. I squinted against the rain-soaked waves, trying to make sense of it. Whatever it was, it could lead me closer to the truth. With renewed determination spurred by the urgency of the unknown, I pushed myself forward. The figure didn't move. Instead, it gestured, beckoning me toward whatever lay beneath the surface. I hesitated, dread pooling in my stomach. What are you? I whispered, knowing deep down that the answer might lead me further down the path of danger. I had to find out. There was no turning back now. I held my breath, hesitating as the figure urged me closer. The turbulent waves swirled around me, but a magnetic pull drew me towards that glittering object. Whatever it was, it felt like a lifeline, a chance to uncover the mystery of the woman I couldn't save. As I swam, each stroke became more deliberate. The figure remained motionless, its dark silhouette contrasting sharply against the tumultuous sea. I could see the shimmer more clearly now, a necklace, possibly, but there was something otherworldly about it. The pendant seemed to thrum inside my pocket, resonating with the water around me. Stay strong, I murmured to myself. Just a little closer. Finally, I reached the spot where the object lay, just beneath the surface. I peered down, feeling an icy dread creep over me. The necklace wasn't just an accessory, it was adorned with intricate designs, patterns that seemed to swirl together like living shadows. I reached out, fingers brushing against it. As soon as I touched it, a jolt surged through me. The water erupted in life, swirling around as if responding to my connection. I gasped, not out of fear, but because the energy pushed through me, overwhelming my senses. Memories and emotions flashed like lightning, images of the woman, the shadows, a dim light fading away. Suddenly, the figure lunged forward, ripping me from my connection. It was fast, eyes now glowing with intensity. I scrambled back, but the necklace yanked with a force that nearly pulled me under. I had to fight against whatever it was trying to claim me. In that moment, I realized the figure didn't just want the necklace, it wanted me. Confusion and terror swelled within me, a crescendo of raw fear. I had come here seeking answers, but I found myself standing on the precipice of darkness. With a surge of adrenaline, I kicked hard and broke free from its grasp. A desperate move, sure, but I had to protect the necklace. As I surged towards the surface, I could feel its anger radiate through the water, a current of rage that threatened to drag me back down. Just as my head broke through the waves, I turned back to face the figure. It was still there, watching, the glimmering necklace resting in my palm. But something had changed, the necklace pulsed with light, as if it were now a beacon. I felt the pendant respond, warming in my pocket, and suddenly, visions flooded my mind, images of the woman intertwined with the shadows. I staggered back, breaths coming in gasps. This was bigger than I thought, deeper than I'd ever imagined. I felt tied to this moment, to her, and now to whatever force was lurking beneath. That much was clear, a battle lay ahead that I needed a plan. But before I could piece together my next move, the laughter echoed again from the depths, raspier, more sinister this time. It pierced through the fading storm, a reminder that danger loomed close. "I'm not ready for this," I whispered, heart racing. But I couldn't turn back now. I clutched the necklace, feeling its warmth against my palm. That woman was still out there, somewhere beneath this endless expanse of water. Then something shifted in the waves. A dark shape was rising again, not far from where I floated. I squinted, dread pooling in my stomach as the laughter crescendoed. It felt like the tide was pulling me towards the unknown, even deeper into the storm of shadows and secrets that awaited. The waves crashed around me, their relentless rhythm masking the dread churning within. I could still feel the warmth of the necklace, but the rising figure in the water stole my focus. It wasn't just a shadow anymore, it was something alive. Something real. Panic crept in as I tried to steady my breathing. I couldn't escape it, the figure was approaching. Each heartbeat echoed in my ears, a warning against the storm. I kicked away from that dark shape, desperate to gain distance, but the necklace urged me forward, tugging at me like it had a will of its own. "Come on," I muttered, "this isn't the time." But the laughter rose again, louder this time, mocking. I glanced back, and my throat went dry. The figure was almost upon me, its form breaking through the surface, slick and writhing. It had no defined shape, just a mass of swirling darkness that seemed to breathe the water itself. I didn't just feel fear, I felt absolute terror. The figure's eyes glowed eerily, piercing through the dim light. They were the same as the necklace, those swirling, captivating designs. I was drawn in, not just because of fear but because part of me wanted to understand. What was this thing? Every instinct screamed for me to swim to shore, but the necklace glimmered, connecting me to something profound. I hesitated, teetering on the edge of fight or flight. Was I meant to confront this creature? As if sensing my turmoil, the figure stopped. It hovered, breathing in ripples of water, waiting. I clenched my jaw, gathered what courage I could, and held the necklace tightly. "What do you want?" I shouted, voice barely carrying over the crashing waves. The laughter faded into stillness, all while the figure remained still, its presence hanging heavy in the air. Then, in a voice that echoed from the depths, it answered. "The one who carries the pendant summons the shadows." I shuddered. Summons? I didn't ask for this. The laughter returned, this time mixed with a low hum that shook my chest. "You awaken the past. The woman you seek is part of this," it taunted, "as are the shadows that she commands." Those words sent chills racing along my spine. The woman, the necklace. It was all connected. I had to know more. I couldn't let fear imprison me. The secrets of the water called to me, and I couldn't ignore them. With renewed determination, I prepared to dive deep again, the wind and waves roaring around me. But as I took a step forward, the figure surged closer, its movements fluid and aggressive. A wave crashed at my back, pushing me off balance. "Wait!" I shouted, but it was too late. The water enveloped me, swallowing my words, pulling me down. Then everything went dark. Panic settled in heavy waves. I fought against the current, but the depths were unforgiving. In that chaos, I felt the necklace pulse in both fear and fury, as if it were alive, as if it wanted to lead me to the truth. "Help!" I screamed, but my voice was lost. Just as I thought I would be pulled under forever, the light returned. I found myself staring into the figure's glowing eyes, but this time, they mirrored something deeper, something familiar. As I nudged closer, the shadows stirred, revealing glimpses of shape and color. I was no longer just an observer. I was part of whatever was unfolding. But just as I reached for that connection, the surface erupted. I gasped for air, flailing. Something was breaking through, and I knew I wasn't alone anymore. The realization dawned like an encroaching storm. I had woken more than just the shadows. I had called forth the very force I'd tried to escape. And now it was coming for me. The storm raged around me, a cacophony of thunder and crashing waves, but all I could hear was the pulse of the necklace in my hand and the oppressive silence that followed. The figure in the water had dissipated, merging with the shadows that shimmered ominously beneath the surface. I was gasping for breath, scarcely aware of what was happening around me. My reality felt strained, as though it might crack apart like glass that I struggled to tread water, panic clawing at my throat. "What do you want?" I demanded once more, my voice swallowed by the frenzy of the storm. In the depths beneath, a silence sank like a stone. I realized then that I was utterly and completely alone. The shadows vanished, the enigmatic laughter slipped away, and I was left in a void that drew upon my very essence. That I let the weight of the necklace hang heavy in my palm, feeling its warmth against my clammy skin. It pulsed with a steady rhythm, a heartbeat in this turbulent chaos. With renewed determination, I felt my instinct telling me to act. Whatever was happening, whatever was lost, I was in the middle of it, and the truth was ready to surface. Drawing upon every ounce of strength, I dove beneath the waves, propelled by desperation. The icy grip of the water closed around me, but I fought through it, pushing far deeper than I ever intended. With each stroke, the shadows began to recede, an eerie light glimmered in the distance, weaving in and out of form. The shapes danced, flickering like flames before catching my eye, the faces of those who had perished, the ones the old man warned about. That I couldn't look away, though dread filled me. A figure emerged from that corporeal light, crystalline but mottled with dark edges. Was it the woman in the tattered dress? My heart lurched as I grasped the pendant tightly. She was reaching out, a hand appearing like a shadow in the water, asking for help. "Come back to me," I shouted, urgency spilling from my lips. I thrust myself forward, but the water clutched at me, dragging me beneath with a newfound ferocity. I kicked desperately, grasping at the depths, feeling nothing but the cold, only that persistent echo of "help her." My body felt light, my mind teetering on the brink of awareness. I plunged deeper, vision blurring as I forcefully swam toward her. With one final burst, I extended my hand toward the spectral figure, fingers almost grazing hers. Then, she vanished. Burst into a flurry of shadows. Panic twisted my stomach as I twisted and turned, searching for her amidst the chaos. But I wasn't alone down here. Another dark shape lurked, clawing at my legs again with icy fingers, breathing life into the weight of despair. That I fought but felt helpless as it closed in, thrumming against my reality, inching ever closer. I couldn't escape, my breaths were growing scarce, the darkness weighed heavy against my chest. I closed my eyes, surrendering for a heartbeat, accepting defeat. But then, clarity pierced through, the connection to the pendant guiding me. I knew I had to fight back. I was tethered to every lost soul enveloped in shadows, their cries echoing around me. Finding strength in their stories, the connection blossomed. That incredible rush of energy surged through me again, igniting the pendant's glow like a beacon in the void, a protective warmth against the encroaching terror. My consciousness surged outward, and I felt a pulse of light envelop the swirling shadows. It pushed against whatever lurked in the depths, fighting back with undeniable force. I pierced through the dark and reached the surface, gasping for air as I broke free, blood pounding in my ears, but the storm continued to roar. The winds lashed my body, the waves were still an agent of chaos. While I wasn't trapped in the water anymore, the darkness lingered, threading through the air like a vengeful spirit. The whispers returned, haunting and hollow. They coalesced into a singular voice in the wind, reverberating through the storm. "Help her, help them, why can't I?" I cried out, the weight of everything pressing upon my chest, a question that had no answer, only a distorted echo. As the rain beat down upon me, I saw the figure emerge again, shrouded in mist. It was her, the woman, eyes like molten silver. She lingered just out of reach, beckoning toward the storm-laden ocean. "You hold the key," she mouthed, silent words carried by the wind. "In the shadows lies your path." But the shadows encompassed me still, leaving me uncertain. Was this all real, or simply a trick of desperation? The light in the pendant flared one last time, warming against my palm. I looked out to the waves, the whispers coiling around me like familiar arms. I felt their grasp beckon me forward. With a shaky breath, I tightened my grip on the pendant. The storm had raged on, winds howling into the night, but it felt different now, like a beginning instead of an end. I could either flee into the safety of the shore or embrace the shadows and the mysteries of the water. As I took a step ahead, plunging into the surf once more, thoughts of safety faded against the allure of the unknown. Whatever lurked out in that ocean, whatever secrets lay beneath the surface, it was calling. And whether supernatural or natural, I was ready to confront that truth, ready to meet the darkness head-on. I could feel it lingering just beneath the surface, and the question loomed larger in my mind with every heartbeat: who, or what, was I truly chasing?